Assalamu alaikum and welcome everyone. I am Shahid Hussain, MEL expert at PMCC Gilgit-Baltistan. Thank you so much for joining this learning session on using evaluation information to support a results-based management system. Okay, let's dive right into how evaluation data actually contributes to evidence-based decision-making, accountability, learning, and really continuous improvement within results-based management, or RBM systems.
To structure our explainer today, we're going to follow a pretty clear roadmap. We'll start with why we desperately need to look beyond mere monitoring. Then, we'll explore some pragmatic uses of this data, the key management questions it actually answers, the absolute best timing for evaluations, and finally, diagnosing project success or failure by looking at design versus implementation.
All right, Section 1, Beyond Monitoring. Enter Evaluation. Let's set our baseline here.
Now, building a continuous monitoring system is absolutely essential for managers, right? But honestly, it's really just the beginning of the story. Here is the crucial gap we face in RBM systems. Monitoring tracks the what and the pace of change. It tells you the direction and the magnitude of what's happening. But, and this is a big but, it cannot prove causality. It cannot tell you why something is happening. So, to build a truly robust results-based management system, we need that missing puzzle piece, which is evaluation. Evaluation tells us exactly how and why things are occurring, giving us the actual basis for attribution, and letting us address the fundamental strengths and weaknesses in our program designs.
When we look at the 10-step M&E cycle, Step 7 perfectly highlights that evaluation isn't just some after-the-fact chore. It's not something you only do when the project is closed and the funds are totally spent. Instead, it has what we call interactional complementarity. That's a fancy way of saying managers should use monitoring and evaluation in tandem to steer their initiatives in real time. Monitoring information generates questions, and evaluation subsequently answers them. Plus, evaluation can highlight brand new areas that need to be monitored. It's a continuous loop.
Moving right along to Section 2, the pragmatic uses of evaluation. Now that we understand its integral role, how do we actually apply this out in the real world?
Here's the thing. Evaluation is an incredibly dynamic tool for decision-making, and it's highly pragmatic across several fronts. For operations, it guides resource allocation, like deciding which of your pilot programs actually gets the funding, and it helps rethink the root causes of a problem when an intervention stalls out. For risk management, it identifies emerging issues, like say a sudden spike in dropout rates, long before they become widespread. And on a strategic level, it helps managers decide between competing alternatives, builds consensus among stakeholders during a crisis, and even supports broader public sector reform by giving citizens hard, undeniable evidence of progress.
We can actually take all those uses and brilliantly synthesize them into 3 core buckets. Think of this as your management dashboard. First up, strategy. Are we doing the right things? Does our program have a clear rationale and theory of change? Second, operations. Are things being done right? Are we optimizing our resources and keeping our clients satisfied? And third, learning. Are there better ways to do this? What are the best practices and lessons we've learned? By categorizing your evaluation information this way, MEAL practitioners basically guarantee continuous organizational improvement.
Section 3, answering key management questions. Because beyond those broad strategic uses, evaluation serves as a highly precise instrument.
In fact, the source material identifies exactly 8 distinct types of management questions that are perfectly built for evaluation. This is where the theory actually moves into direct, actionable accountability.
These questions naturally build up from basic description all the way to complex impact. We start with descriptive questions, basically outlining the program content, and normative compliance questions, asking if specific criteria are actually being met. From there, we move to connections. Correlational questions show links, like literacy rates versus the number of trained teachers, while impact questions establish pure cause and effect. Then we dive into the mechanics, with program logic to test causal sequences, implementation to check if the plan was actually followed, and performance to link inputs all the way through to impacts. Finally, evaluation addresses the appropriate use of policy tools. Every single one of these provides targeted, evidence-based answers to strengthen your RBM system.
All right, Section 4, the best timing for evaluation. Knowing how to evaluate is only half the battle. Next, we really need to understand exactly when to deploy our resources to gather this information.
The absolute clearest signal that you need to conduct an evaluation is divergence. When your regular measurements of key indicators show that actual performance has dramatically fallen behind or unexpectedly leaped ahead of your planned performance, it's time to evaluate. Now, managers know that planned and actual performance rarely match up perfectly. But when that divergence is dramatic, sustained, and has real consequences, you simply must step back. You have to use evaluation data to either course-correct a failing program or figure out how to scale up an unexpectedly successful one. Timing is also absolutely critical when you have similar projects reporting completely conflicting evidence of outcomes. If two comparable initiatives have clearly divergent results, evaluation is essential to uncover the truth. You needed to answer, is there a huge variation in how the projects were implemented? Do the key staff misunderstand the rationale of the effort? Or are the reporting measures just totally invalid? Without an evaluation, you are literally flying blind in these scenarios.
Finally, Section 5, Design versus Implementation Impacts. Let's look at what is essentially the climax of evaluation analysis within an RBM system.
This brilliantly simple matrix is honestly one of the most powerful tools for any project manager. It maps the strength of a project's design right against the strength of its implementation. And in doing so, it creates 4 highly distinct, actionable scenarios that pinpoint exactly why a program is either succeeding or failing.
Let's analyze the extremes first. Square one is the obvious goal. High design combined with high implementation. You've got a strong causal model, perfectly executed, leading to demonstrable positive change. On the total opposite end, we have square 4, low design and low implementation. The text perfectly describes this as leaving only the debris of good intentions. There is zero evidence of outcomes here. Your challenge is to use evaluation data to quickly identify a square 4 situation and shut the effort down before it prolongs any negative consequences.
But the real magic of evaluation happens in squares 2 and 3, where the outcomes are highly ambiguous. In square 2, you have a weak design but strong implementation. The team worked incredibly hard, they followed the plan to the letter, but no results. Evaluation helps you realize the core theory of change was just flawed from the start. Square 3 is the reverse, a strong design with weak implementation. The plan was brilliant, but the team maybe lacked the capacity, the support, or the right sequence to pull it off. Evaluation diagnoses exactly where that breakdown occurred, allowing managers to fix the specific leak rather than throwing away the whole type. So to unpack those ambiguous squares, MEAL professionals can deploy 7 broad evaluation strategies. These range from pre-implementation assessments all the way to rapid appraisals and case studies. The vital takeaway here is that an after-the-fact impact evaluation is just one tool, and it's at the very bottom of the list. There is absolutely no one-size-fits-all approach. Your evaluation strategy must precisely match the specific management question you're trying to answer. So I leave you with this final, provocative thought. Are you just tracking activities and monitoring the pace of change? Or are you using evaluation as the ultimate diagnostic tool to guarantee sustainable results? Thank you so much for participating in this tutorial on using evaluation information to support a results-based management system. I really hope this session has enhanced your understanding of how evaluation evidence can strengthen accountability, learning, and performance within your organizations. I am Shahid Hussain, MEAL expert at PMCC Gilgit-Baltistan, wishing you massive success in applying these concepts in your professional work. If you found this tutorial useful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more high-quality learning content on MEAL, results-based management, and development effectiveness. Thank you for your support, and I will see you in the next learning session.